All right. The plan. What's the plan? The plan as of right now. I was mad tilted after I did Corrupted Gauntlet. I didn't want to do it anymore. I thought Corrupted Gauntlet was ass. I had no interest in performing it whatsoever. I thought there was no way for me to be able to finish it with my current stats. What am I doing here? I literally just need to teleport to Grotesque Guardians. But I saw some posts on Reddit, and I know trusting the Reddit is a really silly idea. Trusting the post on Reddit is a really silly idea, and that I actually am capable of beating it with my current stats. So the goal as of right now is to... Well, we're going to keep doing Slayer. I'm going to try to get to 82, then try to get the Trident of the Swamp, and then start doing some Zulrah. That's my goal as of right now. Get some Zulrah done. And then, what else? Yeah, try to get the Trident, get the Trident, get the Zulrah, and then maybe every once in a while go and do some Gauntlet. I might watch another Gauntlet guide today. Try to do that and then practice some Gauntlet. And if I can't beat Hunlef, like, it's fine. I mean, people were saying things like, with 80s and their stats, it's doable. It just takes like, it took them like 80 attempts to get their first kill, which I'm like, okay, if that's the threshold, if it takes 80 attempts, then I should be capable of doing it. It's just gonna take a while to get. That's all. So we might go back to it again, but right now we're focusing on the blowpipe for a bit. Then eventually I'll go back to Corrupted Gauntlet. That's the plan right now. Today I'm just going to be killing some Grotesque Guardians until I get 82. I should be able to get it off this task if I only go after Grotesque Guardians. I'll probably do some Guardians, just some Gargoyles as well in between, but we'll see. That's my plan right now. That's my plan. And I'm going to watch some YouTube videos to keep myself entertained while I'm doing this. So that's what I'm planning to do as well. Oh god, it's so annoying because I have two different YouTube accounts, and one of them has all the videos I want to watch on it. The other one doesn't. Here. Here's my watch later. Okay, here we go. It's the video I wanted to watch while I was watching before I started.
Pretty absurd.
That's probably a good one, right? An anal bead. Probably would beat the thing. I'm serious. If the engine, it would probably.
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
know. I really don't know. Like, think about it. I don't.
Lock him in trouble, and he's withdrawing to me.
This week,
Start this video back from the beginning so everybody who's watching know about it. So this is like, there was a bunch of drama in the chess world, which I know, big fucking drama in a game that's over 2,000 years old. But it's actually pretty funny, so pretty interesting stuff. So I'm gonna watch this while I'm doing this, while I'm doing my Guardians task.
we may have witnessed the biggest chess drama in recent memory. Last Sunday, Magnus Carlsen, a candidate for the greatest chess player of all time, finally lost the game to a 19-year-old American who has risen to the top of chess at a phenomenal speed. It sounds like a fairy tale, but he's been accused of cheating. Things got ugly, things got really crazy, and things aren't over yet. Alright, before we get into this, I've got exciting news for you guys. 3 words: we have merch. If you go to the description box below, you'll find a link to our merch page where we have a whole load of new merch.
Oh my god, they got merch, guys. That's so cool.
The community has seen in years. Let me set the scene. The Singfield Cup is a big chess tournament held annually in St.
Oh my god, guys, they have merch. It's so cool. Dude, you guys ever watch that drama that occurred between, like, YouTubers and, like, React Twitch streamers? They were, like, upset that people were taking their content and, like, fucking broadcasting it onto, like, Twitch. Oh, fuck, I wasn't paying attention. on Twitch, and they're like the YouTubers are upset about it. There's like some big name Twitch streamers watching it, and like I kind of because they weren't like giving a shout out to at least who the person was who made the video. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, 1 second. I gotta let my dog in after I get this kill. Actually, I'll probably just leave and let him in because I don't want him to be outside in the sun. I don't want him to be out there in the sun. I'll be back in 1 second. I'll probably also play the video because I've already caught up to it at this point. I've already watched this part, so I'll probably catch up on letting my dog in.
Lewis in the US. It's part of the Grand Chess Tour, a circuit of tournaments that seeks to pit the best players in the world against each other. The first Singfield Cup was held back in 2013 and was won by a chess player that even non-chess fans might have heard about, Magnus Carlsen. A lot of people regard 31-year-old Carlsen as a serious contender for the best chess player of all time. The Norwegian Grandmaster is a 5-time world chess champion who, until recently, was on a 53-game winning streak. But that streak ended last Sunday when he lost to 19-year-old American Hans Niemann. And this is where the drama begins. Now, Niemann is not an established name in the chess world by any means. His rise to the top has been meteoric to say the least over the past few years. He'd done well to make it through the first and second rounds of the tournament, but for the third round, he was to face off against Carlsen, and that's usually a chess death sentence. Nobody seriously expected him to put a dent in Carlsen's march through the tournament. He'd done well to get there, but this was likely the end of the road. But to everyone's surprise, the game didn't go as expected. Far from it, in fact. Carlsen seemed to make some uncharacteristically strange moves before a blunder saw his chances of a win and even a draw disappear into a loss.
There we have it.
Wow.
What a result. What
Wow.
a result, guys.
Truly. Wow. I can just imagine the chat going nuts.
I think
at
where's
this
this up
point.
to? I've already seen.
Now, this was
this.
all obviously a huge
I'd like to let my dog into the house because he hasn't outside, just running around in the sun. It's too warm out here for him. He's like freaking out because of how warm it is. Poor dog. All right.
shock. How did Carlsen blunder like that? How was Niemann so clinical? The next day, things got even crazier. Magnus tweeted out that he had withdrawn from the tournament, something he had never done before, and he added the famous clip of football manager Jose Mourinho being interviewed.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
Now, if you've never seen that clip before, it's something people usually share when there's something they really want to say, but for whatever reason, they can't. People assumed that this was an implication that Niemann had cheated, an accusation which quickly spread. One person who discussed this on stream was Hikaru Nakamura, an American chess grandmaster, Twitch streamer, and longtime rival of Carlsen.
I think that Magnus believes that Hans probably is cheating. Again, unproven. Who knows what the reality is? He probably does believe that in his heart of hearts that Hans cheated in that game, or that he is cheating, or whatever. Okay. So if Magnus believes that, what is Magnus going to do in the situation? If he really believes that, okay, if you go out and you say something but you have no proof, then I mean, the burden of proof is extremely high, of course, because like if it's not done at the time when you're at the game, of course you can't prove anything. And so you really have no way of proving that if you really believe that. So I think Magnus's way of basically saying that is like he's not going to actually say it, but he's putting out this clip saying if I talk him in trouble, and he's withdrawing to make the point without publicly making the point.
And the susness people were feeling around Niemann in general hadn't come out of thin air. He had been accused of cheating in online games in the past and had famously been banned from chess.com.
I'm doing so bad in this kill. Wow, I'm just like absolutely floundering in this kill. Okay, if I get like 2 kills, I'll be happy this trip. Jesus, this was a bad kill. First kill of the day is just awful. I'm trying to eat at the same time, so it's like a bunch of stuff's going on and
of a stream 2 years ago.
But
Another thing about people, I think about this chess situation. I think it's like some people might be like, that just sounds like Carlsen's got a fragile ego. And like honestly, from what I understand about Magnus Carlsen, he does tend to be the type of guy who does have like a very. Will I be able to kill this in time? I don't know. We'll risk it. Fuck it. Hit, and a big hit here. Fuck. Oh, it might be doable. It might be doable. There we go. Yeah, let's go. Just in time. We might be able to get one more kill after this. I'm not 100% sure.
Hi, you can have one too.
She banned me. Chess banned me. He banned me. Oh my god.
This is probably something I should not say, but I will say this anyway, which is there was a period of over 6 months where Hans did not play any prize money tournaments on chess.com. That is the one thing that I'm going to say,
Yeah,
and that is the only thing that I'm going to say on this topic.
But it's not just previous
booster
bans
stats.
that made people suspicious of Neiman's
Oh yeah,
win
one
over
thing I think people might
Carlsen.
say about like, what's it called? Magnus Carlsen and him being like, oh, he might just have he's just a fragile fucking chess player or whatever. And like to be fair, it's entirely possible, and he does have that. Oh, this is gonna be so hard. This one, we'll try, but if it doesn't work, whatever. You know? He does, from my understanding, have a relatively like fragile ego as far as chess players go. Like he doesn't he doesn't lose his cool and stuff, but like I have heard him be like he's super arrogant and thinks he can do anything he wants kind of thing. And to be fair, he's like amazingly good, so he does kind of get away with a lot of that stuff, probably. And he's probably like also, if his entire like chess career has just been like this amazing player, he's probably like used to having preferential treatment and stuff like that. But or like being a little bit narcissistic. I mean, like that's probably like just natural to him. But the thing that's interesting about chess, like from my understanding, the way the rating system works, and maybe this won't apply because Neiman is a like. The ELO rating system is really cool, but it tends to not be very good at reacting to like sudden changes in rank. So like if Neiman actually hasn't, I'll explain it in a second. So the way that the system works, from my understanding, the ELO system in chess is it's kind of like you'll be ranked against basically you have like a rating, and that rating is essentially like your skill level essentially. And the way the rating system works is it's balanced so that I think if you are a certain number of points above a player versus below a player, you have a certain percentage chance of winning. I think it's like, oh come on now, it's over. I didn't react fast enough. So like, I think in chess the way it's balanced is that if you have 300 point difference, a 300 point difference between you and the opponent, it should be like you will win 75% of all the games you play or something like that against them or some shit like that. Chess ELO balancing. How does it work? Yeah, as a general rule of thumb, a player who is rated 100 points higher than their opponent is expected to win roughly 5 out of 8 games. A person who is 200 points will win 3 out of 4 games. So if you are 200 points above your opponent, you will win 3/4 of the game. So if you're actually 300 points above, it's like way more aggressive. That's the way you can think about it. I don't know if it's continuously you do that. So it's like, if you are 400 points above your opponent, if you have, the way you can think about it is that you will win 75% of your games and then 75% of the remaining games. I don't know if that's actually accurate. So like in that sense, it would be like 75% of the games, and then you have 75% of the remaining games, which would be of the games that would be losses. You have a chance to win those. I don't know if that's how you calculate it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So it's very good. So given that Magnus Carlsen is like ranked almost 1,000 points higher than this guy, or 800 points. Like, he should not lose to this guy. Oh, one second, I'm getting a phone call. I'll be back. Hello? Yeah, what's up? Oh, I just ate something, but okay, I'll see if I can have some of it. Alright, sounds good. Thanks. Bye. Sorry about that. My dad was just calling me. Yeah, it seems like, in my mind, the way I understand this. Oh, I think the rock thrown hammers are a little bit slower, actually. I'll keep them for now. Matters that much. I'm only gonna take 5 potions with me. Yeah, from what I was saying. So my understanding, yeah, so with this system, like, you can understand that if Magnus Carlsen is like 800 points ranked higher than this guy, he should be kicking his ass. Like, there should be almost like no chance that Magnus Carlsen loses to this guy, to this Hans Nielsen. Or Hans Niemann, sorry. However, the problem that we have to account for, or the problem that we run into with Hans Nielsen or Niemann? Hans Niemann. Oh, these shoes kind of look sick, by the way. I never thought about my. Anyways, the part I wasn't really 100%. The part I kind of never really thought about was that the part I'm not 100% sure of. I think the way the ELO system works is that it looks at where you're ranked and it compares you to this person that you're playing against. And like, if the loser wins, they get a huge boost to their points relative to the other person. The person who's expected to win, who has the higher point or higher ELO score, doesn't get as many points from beating someone who's lower than them. A person who's lower, they don't suffer as much of a penalty if they lose, and I think they gain a lot if they win. So the system is meant to be that in the long, so it's a little, your score should fluctuate a little bit, but relatively like around 100-point margin around yourself, maybe like less than maybe a 50-point margin around yourself, you should be relatively equally ranked. The problem, I think, with someone like, I think the other issue though is that it also requires, though, the score, I think the way the score works, it requires you to constantly be playing, though, like playing a lot of games, because if you're not playing many games, then the problem with the scoring system is I think that you will just like, how do I say this? If you're not constantly playing games, then like the score is not going to be accurate, because like these are like tournament scores. So you can do like online ELO rating that predicts and calculates for you, and that's like probably like one thing. But if you, no, it's not the same as going to a tournament, and that's not your tournament doesn't look at your score from online. So I think that it's possible that Hans is, what's it called, playing. Oh, how do I say this? It's possible that Hans is like might have never just played online, and his like true score, like if he was playing in tournaments, would just be a lot higher, but we just don't see it. And that's what it was, because people are like, oh, he's like way lower ranked. It's like, it's possible that's the case. I don't know if that's the situation. Maybe there's more details around the situation that would completely disprove this point. That was just my point entirely. That maybe there's like other factors there. Maybe he was actually much higher ranked than we were expecting, and then therefore his win against Magnus Carlsen actually isn't as strange as we would expect it to be. That's just something I was just thinking of, but I'm not an expert at chess. I don't know. Maybe there's more. There's actually not really a lot of reason to believe he would have been as good, but I don't know. I'm not the chess guy. You know, I'm not a chess player. I play chess every once in a while. I mostly do the puzzles, if anything. But that's just something I was thinking. That if it's possible, Hans might have actually not been. How do I say this? The reason Hans like did well and was like so shocking was like actually maybe he might have actually just been higher ranked than we were expecting. I'm sure these arguments have all kind of come out, and everyone's made the arguments that are all probably like the best arguments already. You know, I'm sure people who know way more about this have already thought about this issue and thought about every possible situation. I don't know. You know, but that was just my thoughts about the situation. Who knows?
There was a lot of technical chess involved too. For example, one of the points that came up was how Niemann claimed he was able to counter Carlsen's G3 Nimzo opening by remembering a time when he played it at a different tournament. Now, some said Carlsen had never done this, but others showed Niemann might just have got the tournament name wrong and had in fact seen this before. Now, frankly, a lot of these chess details do go over my head, but there's a lot of chess channels out there that break down all the details if you really want to get stuck in. For everyone else though, all you need to know is that the chess community was exploding by this point, but there were still some, like Grandmaster Levon Aronian, who called for giving Niemann the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I think it quite often happens when young players play very well, there is all this accusations towards them. I mean, all of my colleagues are pretty much paranoid, and quite often I was the one telling them, come on guys.
But Niemann wasn't out of the firing line yet. The next day, he lost a match in the 4th round and gave a post-game interview about what he thought went wrong. At the end, he was asked about Carlsen quitting the tournament. The interviewer and Hikaru both found some amusement in his answer.
Yeah, I guess that was the only reason, yes?
I can't think of anything else.
That was the only reason. Look at Alejandro laughing. He's like, that's the only reason.
But one question a lot of people are asking by this point is even if there were these suspicions of Niemann cheating,
they didn't specify what the only reason why Magnus quit was. Okay, whatever.
How exactly did he cheat? Some of the theories out there were pretty absurd.
That's probably a good one, right? An anal bead probably would beat the thing. I'm serious.
That's a great theory. I love that theory. That's so funny.
But probably, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, think about it. I don't know.
Either way, the tournament organizers decided to step up their physical security and add a 15-minute stream delay. This seemed to indicate they suspected something shady might be going on, but weren't sure exactly what form it might take. Tony Rich, the tournament's executive director, said these additional security measures, as seen being demonstrated here on Niemann himself, were a way to ensure the integrity of the game, although he made no link to Carlsen and Niemann's match. But during all this theorizing and accusations, one person we hadn't heard from was Niemann himself. On Tuesday, he called out Hikaru directly on Twitter, saying that Hikaru has thoroughly enjoyed watching his interviews and criticizing every single detail to make, quote, frivolous implications. He added that he'd like Hikaru to watch his latest interview and see what he has to say. The interview in question was conducted earlier that day on the tournament stream after Niemann's round 5 match. He broke down Hikaru's accusations one by one, starting with how he was prepared for Magnus's opening.
Okay, first of all, the Magnus opening. Okay. Now, let's get to that. So people were saying that there was no idea why I checked this. Well, first of all, people are absolute idiots because the explanation I'm going to give is going to make you all the top GMs look like total idiots. So the position, first of all, they said there was 0 game. There was a game. Check the database. There's this thing in chess called transpositions, okay? Now, when he played the move a3, of course I'm expecting the move knight f3. Now, let's say in the Catalan, no, let's show it because this is just embarrassing. This is absolutely embarrassing.
Now, like I said earlier, we're not going to get into the weeds.
Yeah, I don't know what the now I kind of want to know what the hell he's talking about, because I'm like, well, it just depends on what he's talking about. Like, is he actually an idiot for saying this? Like, what are the other GM's responses? They say like, no, that's a stupid opening. Doesn't make that move doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I don't know. This is just like a matter of like you need to have you have to have enough. Like, is a suspicion that he's just a really like skilled player, and people just think like this guy is like, his commentary just doesn't make any fucking sense, and therefore like it's probably the case that he cheated because like he clearly doesn't have enough skill. His explanations aren't very good, because it could be the case that someone's like, oh no, I know what I'm talking about. You guys are all idiots. Like my decision makes sense, and then like you look into it and it's like, no, bro, you're a fucking like your explanation that you've just given to supposedly explain this is like actually a horrible explanation. It makes no sense at all. Like, I don't know.
He's here with all the chess details. The point is, Niemann wasn't going to waste this opportunity to stand up for himself. One of the things he was keen to set straight was what happened with his chess.com bans that we spoke about earlier.
I was trying to eat food.
So,
fuck.
I wanted to gain some rating. I just wanted to get high rated so I could play stronger players. So I cheated in random games on chess.com. Now, I was confronted, I confessed, and this is the single biggest mistake of my life, and I'm completely ashamed. And I'm telling the world because I do not want any misrepresentation, and I do not want rumors. I have never cheated in an over-the-board game. When I was 12 years old, I have never, ever, and I would never do that. That is the worst thing I could ever do, cheat in a tournament with prize money. Now, I made that mistake, And this is something, it's not something I was doing consistently. Never when I was streaming did I cheat. Never did I misrepresent my strength. So I made this mistake. I was confronted by chess.com. I had fully admitted, and I stopped playing chess.com.
Neiman also shared the news that since the accusations of him cheating began to spread, chess.com had actually uninvited him from the global championship.
Now that chess.com has suddenly decided to hop on Magnus's insinuations, Hikaru's very direct accusations, now they see the opportunity, okay, we're just gonna get rid of this. I believe that this is completely unfair. This is a targeted attack, and if you look at my games, this is not, it has nothing to do with my games. So why do you specifically, why does the CEO of chess come to me and say, we're looking forward to having the Global Chess Championship, we're looking forward to you playing on our events, and then right when I beat Magnus, they decide to remove my account and not let me play in the tournaments. This is absolutely ridiculous, and they've only done this because of what Magnus has said, what Hikaru says, and that the entire social media and chess world is completely attacking me and undermining me.
He was deeply unhappy at Carlsen for the insinuating tweet, at chess.com for removing him from their tournament, and at Hikaru for his comments on the matter, which he actually addressed in his Thursday stream.
Later on in the video, Hans very clearly, he uses this word, and I'll just say, he says, direct accusation. So he says that I directly accuse him of cheating. Now, there might be a YouTube video coming out later from the VOD the other day specifically, because there are many instances where I said that he did not cheat over the board. The one thing I did say was that he did cheat online, and he himself admitted that he did. So I want to be very clear on that. That's the second point.
To
when
be
he says
fair,
direct accusations, I
this
never
is
made
just
a
me,
direct
but isn't this
accusation
guy like
about
19?
over the board chess.
Hikaru brought up the
could just be,
general
like,
suspicion
really
around
immature.
Neiman due to just
That's why
how
maybe he doesn't
quickly
sound like
he's
he's
risen
doing a
to the
very good
top over
defense,
the
in my
past
opinion.
3 years.
If you look at the history of Hans over the last couple of years, he's had probably the most meteoric rise in the entire history of chess of any 17-year-old by far. If you look at the other juniors who I believe are around like 2700-ish, I think almost all of them became grandmasters at about 14, 15, maybe some even at 16. But to go from a 2480 IM to 2710, 2720, whatever it might be in the last 2 years, I think a lot of grandmasters are definitely suspicious of that. It's unprecedented in the entire history of chess.
Now, we're not going to continue with this back and forth anymore. These videos are out there if you want to hear everyone's expanded points. But where do we lie now? Well, I suspect that some people who were on the fence or even suspected Neiman of cheating might be leaning the other way now. Now, that's partly because of the points he put forward in his interview, but also perhaps it's the fact that some aspects of this story feel like they have a bit of a witch hunt feel to them. Bear in mind that no concrete evidence has come to light yet, and these kinds of allegations can destroy a 19-year-old's career before it even takes off. And perhaps in one final twist, chess.com released a statement yesterday saying they have shared detailed evidence with Neiman about their decision to remove him from their events, evidence that contradicts his own statements. They say they have invited him to provide an explanation so that he'll be able to participate again. So is Neiman going to provide an explanation to chess.com? Will it be public? And if he gets unbanned or stays banned from this, will this affect how the Carlsen match will be perceived? To me, this feels like we're on episode 5 out of a 7-episode TV series that has had the chess community absolutely glued to their seats. Will other pros get called out now too? This feels far from over. Remember, we haven't actually heard anything from Carlsen yet other than that cryptic tweet. He made a strong implication that has the potential to damage someone's career. Some people feel that he needs to back that up now. And so we wait. And while we wait, you can guarantee that everyone involved in this saga will be contemplating their next move. I used to play chess at school as a kid. And I remember learning like the 3-move checkmate or 4-move checkmate or something. And then as soon as everyone figured out how to counter that, that was it. That was the end of my chess playing career. I was washed up. I retired. I left the scene.
Based.
SkillSpecs was doing a drop party, and he...
Okay, well, sounds interesting. I don't know what the guy did. I don't know enough about fucking chess to have a genuine criticism about what he did or anything like that, so I'm not going to really comment on it. Besides, yeah, it sounds whack. It'd be cool if it was, it would be interesting if it was cheating. Genuinely cheating. Because, like, from my understanding, like, chess, like, they have, like, metal detectors and, like, they wand you when you go to the bathroom and shit. Like, it's really hard to cheat. Like, I think they call it over the board when you are, like, playing in a tournament. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he would have done it. The anal bead theory is, I think, probably the pulsating, vibrating anal bead theory is probably the best one in my opinion. I think that's probably the most likely what happened. I think he genuinely shoved beads up his ass, but who knows? Do they not check for radio frequencies? Like, I know, like, when I was, this is gonna sound really, when I was in robotics in high school, they would have, like, devices that would check for, like, radio frequencies that could potentially interfere with, like, the communications that the people would send from their, like, driving, like, the stations where they drive the robots and, like, the matches to the, like, field. So it didn't seem like, you know, that strange to me to believe. Like, I don't know, I just feel, like, weirded out that they didn't have anything like that, supposedly. Oh. Back him. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start getting some, what's it called? Maybe some sharks or some stronger ones. Or yeah, I might want to get the rock hammer. I think the rock hammer might kill them faster. Oh, sheesh, a lot of rune stuff. Oh, we'll only have one potion left. I don't think we can do that with that, so. I think we're gonna get the regular rock hammer because I think these are a little bit slower. I think they're faster for dawn, but slower for dusk. That's the problem. I think I'm also gonna buy sharks going forward because I think the sharks are just gonna be a lot more money efficient, or a little more like I can last a little bit longer, which I think will work out better. If I can take maybe like 6 potions and like the rest sharks, which I think the extra healing I'll get from them will allow me to last a little bit longer. That's my theory.
He specifically asked members players to keep out, so the free-to-play noobs could have the item.
Just know, bro, if you're here and you're a member, I know. I know, alright, bro? I'm disappointed in you taking this from the poor, alright? I'm disappointed, mate. You've taken somebody's bond from their mouth. I'm dropping items now, so I wish you all good luck.
Now, while I didn't get anything from the drop party, I did dress up as a free-to-play player. For some reason, he didn't believe me.
I'm poor, free to play, please? Yeah, man, Kemp, no worries, 290 mil, bro.
Wow. But as a side note, I later got an Armadillo Godsword.
I made more from these giveaways than 100 TOA raids, says Kemp. Bro, the thing is though, Kemp, I know you're actually telling the truth, bro. That's believable.
Rastaman is on pace to get the world's fastest Inferno completion time, again. But he's got no more supplies. With a blowpipe spec, he heals up to 19 hit points. He dies, but got zucked down as well.
Oh my god! Let's go, dude.
Oh my god! Sick. A double death for the new world's fastest completion time of the Inferno.
42
it couldn't get any closer than
That's
that.
fucking insane. Isn't it like an hour at most of the time? That's stupid. That's crazy. Oh, we gotta put the in a Oh, what am I doing?
Everyone's gonna be really mad about
For
this
an
one.
Iron Man?
Yep,
That's disgusting.
He already has one of those.
Oh,
A
he
dupe
does.
For the main account, I suppose.
That's disgusting. He's already got one? That's, oh my god, the luck. That's stupid.
Yo, and I got the last jewel. Okay.
I think the Eye of the Corruptor, from my understanding, is... What's my dog want? The Eye of the Corruptor is pretty good, from my understanding. It's good in a team setting. It's really bad by yourself. The Breaching is, I think, the best one. The yellow one, I think, is just actual poo-poo garbage. It's just not worth it at all.
Mole Music is an Ultimate Iron Man, and they've done nearly all of Dragon Slayer 2 without a guide. That's really impressive because of all the puzzles and how long that quest is. Now they're at Galvek, and looks like they've almost finished him off.
Dude, that's so frustrating. That's so
Ouch.
infuriating.
That'll be another few hours collecting the supplies to do another attempt. Dino goes in for the AGS
That's
special
serious
attack.
gamer skill, though. Honestly, gee. I hit a 0 with the bolt spec. That's fucking stupid.
But misclicks. Looks like the guy forgot to protect item. That's the biggest accidental payoff I've seen.
I'm so confused.
Bodhi has trouble with a banana peel.
The banana peel! I don't know if I can be bothered anymore, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Bodhi has done 200 expert solos, with only 1 purple in his name. Yeah, he's insanely dry. Recently I said I'll give him 1 gifted sub for each raid he goes dry. And 30 raids later, unfortunately for me, he is still dry. So that means 30 gifted subs so far.
You know, KevQ said he
You
would
know
be
what? Whatever you
donating
need to do to keep
one
yourself
gifted
motivated, mate.
sub per dry streak after this point. It looks like he's bailed
Oh,
out
shit,
at
this is
30
awful.
because he knows that he can't afford the
Oh!
3,700
Gamer.
gifted he's
That's a
got.
gamer moment right there.
Now, we won't be featuring his purples on this community channel because we don't want to spoil his video when he finally gets one. Like all of our featured creators, make sure to check out their links in the description below.
Let's go! We got it!
Ah!
Yes, dude!
Shit.
Let's go, man. That is the Ava's kit. It's not purple, though. There we go! Yeah! I think I'm the first hardcore of this. I know Shay's attempted a 350 but died on it. I think I'm the first.
He volleyed a 36 through prayer, is what it is. If we die, can't complain.
Nathan is Deep Wilderness PKing.
Come on, RNG. No way I did that. Nah.
And he would make the escape if he didn't misclick on his mithril seeds.
Let's see Panorama. Let's see it. He caught it! 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 I feel it, oh boy, I feel it. In my groins. Good job, Panorama. Enhance coming soon. He felt it in that groin, in that fucking ball sack.
What is he talking
RS Malo
about?
is in a battle where both him
What
and
the
his
hell's wrong
opponent
with
are
this
full of
community?
teleblock.
Jesus Christ.
It's an outlast fight to the death.
What the hell, he died?
A pure outlasting and med build.
What?
That's really impressive.
Oh my gosh, the bank.
Smiggy Balls has got some great moves in Aka's final phase, sliding around the map like a pro.
Look at me dodge like a... no!
It's like the same exact time as the Throne Hammer. The Throne Hammer is going to be... Yeah, it's for Dawn it's the same speed as the Throne Hammer. So, and then for Dusk it's gonna be faster. So it's just faster to use regular Rock Hammer, in my opinion.
Addy wants to do a 500 invocation raid without any sneaky cheese methods that use bugs. So he needs to study.
I think using cheese methods for almost any like achievement in the game is just so fucking stupid. Like, to me, I really find the whole eating purple sweets thing, I find it impressive in one way, but I also find it really annoying in another. I just don't think it really should count as anything. I mean, like, it's cool and all, but it just feels like, I don't know. There's a certain like mid. It's actually like, you know what? If you go like hours using just like purple sweets, I can find that impressive, is what I would say. But like, that's like an endurance thing. But like, I don't know. Some stuff I just don't really find very cash money about the purple sweet meta. My opinion.
Kefri. More specifically, he needs to know exactly how it lays down its dung. So for the last hour, he's been lining up dung in Raids 3.
Okay, now I can try and test this out.
Now usually if you get trapped with no more empty spaces around you, the game will basically teleport you to the nearest empty space. Does that work when nearly the entire room is filled with dung?
I assume we get pushed all the way over here, but it'll be really funny if we don't.
Well, that's what they're about to find out.
Go, 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 go. Oh no. No, please. No! Wait, what happens? What happens? Oh, we're fine. We just get stuck. Ah! Redemption. No! Okay, you get stuck in
Hello?
What a shitty situation. Yeah, that's a shitty situation.
Kexi has gone 90 dry at Tombs of a Masket, but now he's in for a treat. He's got a purple.
Come on, come on, come on.
The best item he could get as his first purple. Damn.
No.
That's so fucking lucky.
Full-time nerd hit the mega rare drop table on his clue scroll. Twice. Unfortunately, he got gilded D'hide Vams approximating 9 mil. Zoe and her teammate Lopsy have some issues with Insanity Invocation.
I think I like these invocations. I'm sorry we had to turn off bananas, but the bananas, I mean, it's just simply
fucking bananas. I don't like the bananas. So.
It's simply too fucking hard.
Left side, left side, left side.
Oh,
left
that's
side,
the
left
left.
side,
I'm
left
sorry, I
side,
don't know
left
my right
side.
from my left. I'm doing my best, I swear.
Oh. Ambrosia angle, ambrosia angle. Wait, am I dumb?
After studying dung science at Kefri, Addy has made it to the final boss at level 500 Invocation, the first to do it without any cheese methods.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, bit more prayer, bit more prayer.
Damn, just less than 1% remaining. Very close. Well, now he's back with a vengeance, and with just under 1 hour of completion time, that's a lot faster than I expected.
Nice, okay. Not too bad. 500s? Very fun. Gimme this stuff. Lovely. Zebak, Phoenix, Menophyte, Masuri, everything.
As for the loot, he gets all the unlocks at once. Now he's looking like a beast.
I much prefer the Fang like this. I much prefer the Fang like this.
Awesome.
Hey, I see you're busy, so I'm going to type this here so you can listen instead. I am looking into a new editing software. I currently use Adobe, but I'm wondering if you've ever used Filmora.
Oh yeah, actually. Oh, 100%. When I finished
Filmora dick in your mouth.
Dino's opponent is camping full hit points. But Dino has a Zerite crossbow.
Okay. Actually, which one is more expensive, mushroom potatoes or sharks? I think they heal the exact same amount. Sharks are a little bit cheaper. Okay, let me text her quickly, and then we'll get back to it.
Even used this spec, hoping he'd change from range prey. That was epic. Golan TV is fighting this guy in deep wilderness. Golan is testing out the new fortified ward, the new best in slot mage shield, a combination of the Elidness ward and the arcane sigil. The guy he's fighting starts running towards the multi-line.
This guy isn't bait. I don't know what is.
Golan goes in for the HES spec and gets a huge chance at the KO.
He's bait, but I just chanced him, so it's worth it.
Well, now the jig is up. The guy has pulled out his dragon spear to push him into the multi-zone. He has to get the freeze on him if he wants to live.
If I caught that, I would have lived. Good fight. Oh, I'm dead. No way. Rock got me, man.
He got smited for his ward, approximating 130 mil. Mutz is on his hardcore when he tries to save more than just his own life. He feels responsible for this jug as well.
We can save the jug, ladies and gentlemen. We can do it. We can do it. I believe. Ooh, yeah, it's going through. Oh, he saved the jug. We. Keep pulling in. Oh my God! No way! Oh! Bro, clip that.
Noob Type goes for the world record invocation level, At 525, he manages to defeat the boss in just 55 minutes. Damn, well done.
There we go.
He was frozen and he went to pick up a bolt.
Will we get a death list on this one, boys? What are you guys saying, huh? Ah, yes.
I feel like I'm getting complacent, chat. I feel like this... I feel like I should probably admit this to the last raid before I die. I'm literally not even paying attention.
Oh, no. Gonna die here?
As I was saying...
As you can see, the Major is still alive, which can one-shot you if you don't kill it quickly. Otoblock tests the new Fang on a pure account.
I'm risking it. I don't even know what I just did, bro. And I just smited him. Like, bro, I don't even know what I just did. I just clicked random shit. What
I don't
did
know
even
shit
just
about
smite?
speaking at all, so I can't
2.3
really
mil.
comment on it. But yeah, sure, cool.
Come on, can I hit? I'm risking it. Bro, that was max hit with the Fang, bro. That was actually beautiful. That was actually beautiful. Okay, I had to because I knew I lost by then. I lost, like I lost, bro. I lost. Wait, how did he find me? Bro, I just lost Fang! How?
Typical Oda stream. I don't watch much Oda block. I just find him a little bit too annoying in my mind. I think he's I always say I recognize the talent. Oh, fuck me. This is so cringe. Okay. But he's not for me. But he's okay, I think.
In the last week of August 2022,
I already watched this video. I've already watched
No, I'm not going to start my daughter.
Not really interested. What else do I have my watch later videos? Keep me entertained while I'm doing. Oh, I don't want to drink another sip of my potion. That's okay. Live with it. We're getting so unlucky right now. Well, actually not too bad, I think. I don't know what to drop for the Cerebrew. We'll watch this. I'm kind of curious.
It's not just, hey, I think you need to do this,
Dr.
so you
K's
should
always a
start. And it's all
classically
on you.
chill
It's when partners accept
kind of guy to
responsibility
watch.
for each other and sort of work together.
That's
towards
also
making
entertaining
changes that
in his own
people
way.
end up being the best. So let's talk a little bit about love. So Vox recently had an article called "What Science Still Can't Explain About Love," and the article's pretty good. It talks a little bit about different perspectives on love, and they sort of interviewed dating coaches, matchmakers, psychologists, and tried to get a sense of like, why haven't we figured this out yet, right? So like love, like we've got a bunch of science, we understand so much about relationships, and what's going on here. So they make a couple of major conclusions. The first is that our preferences can't always predict attraction. So that's one of the hypotheses that they state. And I'd say I kind of agree with this, that a lot of times we have preferences and we don't really, just because someone meets our preferences or checks our boxes.
Well, that just to me means that it's like we don't have enough variables of understanding, right? We just don't know enough about it. If we knew all the variables, like, then we'd be able to predict who would like who. We just don't know all of them
necessarily
yet.
mean that we'll be
It
attracted
just seems
to
like
them.
people think they're.
And what is
All
far
this
more
tells me
woke-
is that what people think their preferences are don't seem to matter that. Fuck me. Don't seem to matter all that much is what I interpret from this data. Yeah, like an individual person's perception about what their preference is actually doesn't really have a lot to. Oh my god, fuck me. You just get situations like that where it just feels like there isn't really much you can do. Yeah, all that says is that what an individual thinks their preferences doesn't really actually matter that much. Because it's like, there's attraction, but then there's like preferences. So you might be like, oh, I'm really into like, what the get me out. Man, sometimes it just all comes crumbling down, Yeah, like you have a preference, but your preference doesn't really mean a whole lot if it's not like, I don't know, preferences don't predict your what you're interested in that much is what it's like. But what that means is like a preference is like a self-identified view. Like you think that this is what you like. It's what you think you like, right? Like that's what a preference is. But the truth is your preference, what they're saying is like it doesn't do a very good job predicting what you actually like, which is interesting to me. It just means people don't really know what they like, which is kind of a weird view, but I think it goes with everybody.
Woeful is that sometimes we are actually very attracted to people who don't meet our preferences, which causes so many problems. The second thing that they sort of dig into is that, so as they're sort of talking a little bit about, okay, why can't we figure out love? They come up with a couple of theories. So the first theory is that scientists can crack the code if they look hard enough. So this is a theory that basically posits, as long as we do enough research and we crunch enough numbers, we will eventually figure out what it takes to fall in love. We'll figure out the
That seems like a very reasonable position. Like that once we have enough data, once we know everything, we'll be able to figure this out. Or stop that shit. Yeah, let's just collect all this stuff and go restock.
formula or equation, like, the equation for gravity, F equals GMM over R squared, right? Like we can figure out love if we just do enough research. That's one perspective. Another perspective is, and this is something that I personally agree with, is that love is actually chaotic by nature. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been reading a lot of papers about neuroscience of love and neuroscience of relationships and things like that. And there are actually a lot of studies that show that love is actually like a chaotic and dysregulated state in the brain. So we know that from fMRI studies, which are studies of blood flow to the brain, that when someone is in love, they start to inhibit all kinds of like useful circuitry in the brain. So our risk assessment circuitry gets inhibited when we're in love.
That's
Our
interesting.
executive function kind of gets messed up. Our ability to plan
You can't
kind of
think
gets
straight
messed
is what
up.
they're
There
saying.
are all kinds of amplifications of
hilarious.
particular emotional circuits and even suppression of other emotional circuits, like suppressing negative emotions while we're in the state of love. So there's actually evidence that shows that love, at least in the brain, is sort of like a pro-chaotic, pro-bad decision, not considering risk sort of state.
Yep.
Like it literally, we see reduced blood flow to some of our risk assessment parts of the brain. And there are even, if you look at some of the studies, they'll even sort of posit evolutionary hypotheses for this. Is that there's a certain amount of stupidness that you have to induce that is sort of tips things towards procreation, right? So creating babies is like a huge energy investment, can cost people a lot. And so what we want to do is like our brain sort of handicaps us and sort of like doesn't let us really think about the consequences, which may actually be a trait that's been selected for
That's so funny.
evolutionarily over the course of millions of years. Okay, that's theory number 2, some evidence of this. And the last thing that they talk a little bit about is which theory do matchmakers and relationship coaches kind of believe in. And so they talk a little bit about, you know, how matchmakers and relationship coaches sort of function. And this is sort of what I'd like to share with y'all a little bit. So as we kind of, I'd like to just offer my perspective on this. And what I'd love to do is share with y'all almost like a story of how I came to believe what I did about love. And then also share with y'all, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make nowadays when approaching relationships.
Whoa.
So this kind of starts out with my job as a psychiatrist. So one of the interesting things is that I get to see the inside of a lot of relationships. Now people may think, oh, as a psychiatrist, if you're doing couples counseling, doesn't that mean that there's a selection bias and you get to see the inside of the worst relationships, right? Because in couples counseling, it's only like people who have problems that are going to see a psychiatrist. Whereas actually I see a lot of relationships that are not a part of couples counseling. So just as an example, if I have a patient, but there's nothing wrong with their marriage, let's say I'm treating them for ADHD, at some point I will ask about their marriage, right? Is their marriage something that is supportive in terms of like, you know, mental health standpoint? Oftentimes I'll meet their spouse, right? Because we'll have sort of like a kind of meet and greet and sort of make sure that we're all on the same page, see if the spouse has any concerns, if there's any kind of plans that we have to develop. So oftentimes I see the inside of a lot of really healthy relationships. And the first thing that I noticed, I made an observation when I was back in residency, I noticed something very strange, which is that the healthiest relationships almost always have at least one red flag. And I was kind of surprised by this. So I was meeting people that were like in their 40s and their 50s, and like they had really strong, healthy relationships. When I'd ask them like, oh, you know, when did you meet? What were things like, you know, early on in your relationship? There was almost always like one red flag, right? So one example is, you know, I had one patient who, I'm going to sort of make these chimerical for those of you that don't know, so I'm going to change around gender and age and ethnicity and stuff so that people can't be identified. But I had one patient who, you know, decided to marry someone who was like unemployed and a few years older than they were. And so this was a patient who was 18 years old, decided to marry a dude 6 years older who was like unemployed at the time. And like that seems like a terrible idea, right?
Yep.
You're an 18-year-old
That sounds like a
marrying
fucking
a 24-year-old is a
stupid
terrible idea.
idea.
Furthermore, 24-year-old is like kind of unemployed, not really going anywhere. Anyway, they're happily married now, doing very, very well in terms of careers and family and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a red flag. And the more that I saw the inside of relationships, the more that I saw that like, okay, like all of these relationships ended up really good, but it sounds like they actually had relatively rocky starts. And so I was really kind of curious about that. And I was starting to think, okay, like how does this work? Like what's going on here? So I made that observation, but wasn't really sure. For what it's worth, I kind of think that my relationship also sort of had, like, in a sense, a red flag or yellow flag, in the sense that my wife was dating someone who told her explicitly that they were going to become a monk and be celibate and forsake the world, right? Which, like, seems kind of like red flag territory to me. Like, why would you date someone like that? Anyway, she was wiser and understood that I was, you know, didn't understand what I was talking about. But my point is that on paper, like, that's sort of like a red flag, right? So then I started getting curious about this. And so I started asking people from my culture. So I'm Indian, and in our culture, we have a lot of arranged marriage, or at least used to. there's still a lot of arranged marriage. And I started asking people a little bit about, okay, so like, how does this, y'all been married for 30 years? Like, how does that work? Like, you know, what was the arranged marriage like? And then I thought they shared with me something that was really, really interesting, which is that when they had an arranged marriage, happiness was not guaranteed, right? So when you get married in an arranged marriage, you're not sure that you're going to be happy. You kind of get married for a number of different causes, a number of different reasons that will hopefully lead to a successful and harmonious life, but happiness in and of itself, or even love for that matter, is not guaranteed. And so the interesting thing that I sort of discovered talking to a lot of people who had been in arranged marriages is that they had to work for it. So like, you started this relationship with both people sort of under the impression that depending on what we put into the relationship is what we're going to get out. So whether we're happy or not sort of depends on a certain amount of my flexibility, a certain amount of like, you know, how much I try. And it also depends on the other person being flexible and trying. And hopefully if the two of us work together, we can end up at least happy and hopefully in love. And so I thought that was like kind of a really, really interesting perspective. And so I think that's sort of
that's
when I
really weird. I don't know how you get it up without not liking the person. I don't know. Some people just are. Way, man. I feel like I cannot at all. I don't know. Maybe I could get horny for somebody who I don't know that well. Whatever.
When I went back to my patients and stuff who had been in love marriages with red flags, I sort of started to ask them a little bit about this kind of principle as well. And what I actually found is that in every one of those cases, there are red flags which had to be actively overcome by both parties, right? So people were sort of, in a sense, committed to the relationship, stupidly so, right? Because there's that risk assessment part of your brain that's not getting as much blood, right? So you're taking risks. But that both people were sort of, in a sense, committed to the relationship, and they recognized that like finding happiness or harmony in the relationship was like a co-op game. And so I think this is the big thing that we've lost. We've lost sort of this idea that a relationship's happiness is not so we think right now is that the happiness in a relationship is sort of determined by the other person, and we sort of see this, right? So if the third thing that I want to share with y'all is I talked to some people who were like on dating apps, right? So especially more recently, past 3 years, 4 years, a lot of my patients are using dating apps, and I sort of talked to them a little bit about, okay, like what's the psychology of like, you know, help me understand why you're using a dating app. What are you looking for? And here's the way that they explain it to me. So I want to be in a long-term relationship. A long-term relationship, let's say 30 years, 40 years. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to go roll together, all that good stuff. Have someone in my corner. And so I kind of asked them, okay, so what determines whether you're in a long-term relationship or not? And they essentially get to, well, whether I'm happy or not, right? Because if I'm unhappy in a relationship, I'm going to leave. And if I'm happy in a relationship, I'm going to stay. And so the happier I am in the relationship, the more likely I am to stay in a relationship for 30 years. And so their goal, they were sort of equating happiness in a relationship with like long-term committal. Makes sense. So then the interesting thing is that I'd ask them, okay, so like what determines whether you're happy in a relationship? And that's when they'd sort of essentially say, well, it depends on whether I get what I want. And this is where the selectivity comes
That's
in.
so
essentially
stupid.
What's happening is you have people sort of like thinking, okay, if I get A, B, C, D, and E, if I check these 5 boxes.
That's so fucking dumb. I didn't collect the heal orbs, and so it got back up to full fucking health again. Ugh, whatever. Maybe that's like the one time I should go back to the rock throwing hammers, even if it is a tiny bit slower, just because it would avoid, I think, a situation like that. Can I grab? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Oh my god, I hate that ability. I really don't pay much attention to it typically because I'm just like, oh, if it freezes me, whatever, it freezes me. But like, this is the first time it's been like fucking pain in the ass. I'm probably still gonna not pay attention to it going forward just because like I've never had to. But Jesus, that's annoying. Jesus, that was a bad run. Okay, we're gonna call it good there, and I'm gonna take a break for 10 to 15 minutes or so, just stretch out my wrists. I'm not gonna get off, I'm just gonna watch YouTube videos or whatever and chill until I'm taking a break, because I don't want to blow out my fucking wrists at the ripe age of 20 something. So that's the plan right now. Oh, we only have quite a few more kills still to go, but you know, whatever.
Or if my partner checks these 5 boxes, then I will be happy in a relationship. If I'm happy in a relationship, then the relationship will last. And that's how I'm going to find a long-term relationship. And so I realized that the major mistake that people seem to be making now is that they think that happiness in a relationship is something that is found instead of something that is built. So if I'm unhappy in the relationship, and this is what we sort of see with online dating, is that like, okay, if I'm unhappy with this person, instead of working on that relationship and trying to get that person to change, or even shockingly change myself, what I'm going to do is just look for someone who checks all the boxes. So since I have, 1,000 different people that I can examine over here and see if any of those are better fits, I'm not going to invest in working on this relationship, working on myself, or trying to encourage this other person to grow and change. And so this is what is crazy, is that when I talk to people who are in successful relationships, a huge part of that is actually like them working on themselves. So it's like learning to be flexible when you don't get what you want, right? So can I be happy in spite of getting what I want? And this is where we can pull in a bunch of like excellent theory from sort of Eastern religions. So if we look at like the karmic religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, the religions that gave us meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, these kinds of things. And what they basically taught us is that a lot of our unhappiness has to do with what's in here. And actually what we sort of find is that the more that you get what you want, sometimes the more unhappy you become. So I felt this very strongly when I was playing video games all day, because what did I want? I didn't want to go to class. I wanted to play video games all day long. And so that's what I did. And the next day I played more video games because I didn't want to go to a class. I didn't want to fail the class. Can't fail the class if you don't show up to the final. I mean, you can fail the class. I guess you can't fail the final. You can fail the final as well, but it happens somewhere over there. You get a letter grade in the mail on a piece of paper that you don't even have to open, right? So a big part of what I see in relationships now is that everyone is looking for happiness instead of building it, instead of investing it, instead of being flexible. And so then what you I want you all to think about this. If someone is not willing to be flexible and compromise and find happiness in spite of them not getting what they want, what situation does that create? That creates, I'm going to date this person for a couple weeks. Oh, I'm unhappy. Let me find someone else. I find someone else. I'm a little happier for a little while, and then I start to become unhappy. Let me find someone else. Let me find someone else. Let me find someone else. And so you get people who are on dating apps for a very, very long time. And that's because they keep on looking for happiness from their partners instead of doing any kind of internal work. It's like the complete opposite of what we see in an arranged marriage. And so this is kind of the big thing that I think that we need to really understand, is that if you want to be happy in a relationship, if you want to be successful in a relationship, a lot of that doesn't have to do with checking boxes. And we actually use checking boxes as proxies of our own happiness. But if we look at theories of like Eastern wisdom or Eastern psychology, what they say is that a lot of our happiness doesn't actually have to do with fulfilling our desires. In fact, they say the opposite. And the more that you focus on fulfilling your desires, like the worse off you're going to be. So this is what I think what we're
what he's saying is like very true. I spend a lot of time on dating apps finding people that just are kind of not really that useful, or not that they're not useful. I spend a lot of time on dating apps trying to find people that I like, but then end up just finding out that I don't like many of them after a little bit of time. After a little bit of time, like 1 or 2 dates, I'm like, I'm not really interested in this person anymore. I just try to find somebody else, because there's always like something wrong with them. It's like something wrong with them. I'm like, why date this person? I can just go find somebody else. That's always the mentality. But I think that it's a good point he's making, that it's actually like you can find happiness with anybody. It's not about, because there is something to be said about like, why not just go for the person that's going to best suit you? But I think the idea is that like he is right in the sense that like all it's going to do is lead you to chase people that, what's it called? You're gonna keep searching for things like you have, but like everyone's gonna have some sort of fault. But then simultaneously, like he was arguing that like the reason you chase people, like really where the real happiness is gonna come from is inside you, not from somebody else. And nobody's gonna be able to. And I think the truth is that yeah, you're never gonna be able to find somebody who's gonna satisfy you. Like it's just never possible. But you can find somebody who makes you happy, and you can learn to love and enjoy. That just comes over time. It's not, and you have to work at it. It's not something that you just kind of a person pops up in your life and you're immediately compatible with them. So, yeah, that's actually pretty true. I find that to be true.
Sort of dating, for you to think a little bit about if you're unhappy in a relationship, how much of this does my partner need to change, or how much of this do I need to find the perfect partner? And how much of this is like, do I need to learn how to be happy in spite of not getting what I want? And what I tend to find in all of the successful relationships, whether they're love marriages or arranged marriages, is that it's people who are willing to be somewhat flexible with what they want and what they're willing to get and what they're willing to sacrifice or not sacrifice. It's that kind of flexibility that really is a good prognostic factor success in relationships. And I think even when you look at all the science on that, everyone's sort of looking at relationship factors and people like, okay, did you get what you want? Did you not get what you want? You know, if you get what you want, how does that correlate with success in a relationship? And all the research says it doesn't correlate with success in a relationship. Or, I mean, that's an oversimplification, but a lot of it is not very promising that way, right? That's why we haven't figured it out yet, because when we ask people what they want, it doesn't seem to correlate very well. But what people don't ask, or there is relationship research on this, and this is what's really interesting, is when people start to ask not so much about the other person, but about you and your ability to compromise, your ability to be flexible, your ability to like really think about what you want, and are you able to prioritize your partner's happiness? And what we tend to see is it's in situations like this where partners are willing to prioritize each other's happiness as opposed to checking all the boxes for their hypothetical perfect relationship. Those are the ones that lead to good relationship outcomes. So a lot of what we're missing in relationships is actually a lack of awareness about our own flexibility and how much of my happiness am I willing to work on? How much am I willing to let go? How much am I willing to set boundaries? How much am I willing to support my partner in making healthy changes? It's not just, hey, I think you need to do this, so you should start, and it's all on you. It's when partners accept responsibility for each other and sort of work together towards making changes that people end up being the best. So that's kind of a quick summary on relationships and kind of my perspective. I think that I've had the privilege of looking at a lot of different relationship perspectives, both from sort of like hard science research, including brain scans, doing therapy with people who are in healthy and unhealthy relationships, and even culturally, like looking at people who are in arranged marriages versus love marriages. And what I've sort of found is that there's one thing that
I'm probably going to get off for a bit. I'm just going to be fighting Grotesque Guardians for the next like while until I can start fighting Krakens. When I get Krakens, I'll probably just stream until I get the Trident, and then once I get the Trident, I'm probably going to go and do some Zora, or I might do some Corrupted Gauntlet later. I don't know. We'll see. That's the plan for right now.